Hello and welcome to Lazarski Podcast number 3. I am your host Dipanshu Lakhwan and I am a lecturer in Faculty of Economics and Management. I teach finances. Through this podcast, my goal is to disseminate meaningful conversations with our esteemed guests as they share their industry secrets with us. Today, on the podcast, we have a very special guest, Mr. Daniel Witkowski. He was born in Sweden, raised in US, worked there, and he also received his personal training in Los Angeles Film School from 2009 to 2010 and New York Film Academy from 2011 to 2014. And he worked as an OPT in US for 1 year, and since 2015 he has been making waves in Poland. Currently he's serving as the director of Studio of Lazarski University. So please welcome Mr. Daniel. Daniel, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling very relaxed, very happy. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
I tried my best.
I hope I will be able to live up to the statements that you've made, but we'll see.
All right. Okay. Would you like to jump directly to the questions?
Sure. You're the moderator. You decide where we go.
So you worked in US, right? So
Yes.
let me hit you with the most difficult question here.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to come back? Yeah.
This question
Still haunts me to this day.
well, it haunts me too.
All right.
Why did I decide to go back?
Yeah.
Well, as we all know, I lived in LA, as you introduced. LA is the mecca of filmmaking. That is where Netflix has its offices, Paramount, Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, A24, etc. A lot of big companies. To be honest, there are two reasons why I decided that I must come back. One of them is personal, of which simply I don't want to disclose.
Okay.
Because it's personal.
Keep your secrets. Right.
It was a family emergency, in short,
Mm-hmm.
family issue, something like that. But also, it's kind of 50-50 with the family thing. I wasn't feeling at home in LA. It felt very, simply speaking, superficial. People were not nice to each other because they wanted to genuinely be nice to each other.
Okay.
It felt like people were just fake nice to each other.
So what we
And
hear about LA is more true than not.
it is all glamour, it is all stars, but that's the marketing ploy. That's what they sell you on. There is a lot of homeless people in LA. There is a lot of crazy people
You
in
mean
LA.
aspiring actors?
Well, those are waiters.
Okay.
Those are waiters.
All
There's
right.
a lot of waiters who
They're just waiting to get casted.
Well, you know, they're serving tables and they're hoping that Brad Pitt will be at one of the tables that they can serve, so that they can quickly give him, you know, their resume, right, their photos. It's nothing against aspiring actors, but there is a lot of them. It is the tinsel town. It is the place where you go to become famous.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily rich, but definitely famous. And if people aspire to be famous, well, they tend to sacrifice a lot of their personal values to become famous, to become liked. I feel that I wasn't able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking for fame. I wanted to just make good movies. I wanted to continue crafting good stories. And maybe I could have done it if I would have tried harder
Yeah.
in terms of getting into these networking events and trying to get to know people. But strictly speaking, the whole mix with the family issue as well, it just didn't work out.
Sounds
in
like a
that
good
way.
enough reason to me, because
Yeah.
also I have a have a very personal opinion about the networking events.
Yeah.
Talking about LA, it must be on steroids when it comes to being fake. Whenever we have, let's say, this business networking events and stuff,
Yep.
there is a sort of a mask that you have to put on yourself
Yes.
and be super nice to people.
Yeah.
Where are you from? And being curious about them when you are not seriously interested in them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm assuming that was similar the case with when you would be meeting directors or potential clients, and
Of course.
and sometimes it just gets too much to be nice to the people. You
Yep.
can't even stand
It all depends on what you want, right? I mean, I remember I've been to a few networking events here in Warsaw startup. Usually they're startup, or they were. I don't go to those anymore. But startup networking events.
Yeah.
And I remember that a lot of those people, it was the same. It was very similar, just the theme was different. It wasn't actors in movies. It was, I've started 10 startups. I'm like, that's great. How many succeeded? Well,
right? We're working on that.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's true. You got to put on a mask. You got to put on a face. Yeah, I mean, you got to find out what the capital wants, right? If you want to be part of something big, then the whole word fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But then, once you fake it till you make it, you might not be who you started out as, because you faked it so much you don't know who you are anymore.
That's a very interesting point to raise. It's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about that. It definitely helps you to reach your goal, but you are saying that you might not wanted to be that person in the first place, because you're becoming the fake person that you're fake till now, but that's not the real you.
Yeah.
And a part of it, I'm assuming, how old were you when you just came back to Poland?
I was 25.
Rather young.
2015, yes.
So it was quite early that you realized what's right for you and what's not. I think 25 is the age where usually people start to get in their careers. Especially for the people who are watching who are younger, who are 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, there are certain. So these people, they think like their troubles, their worries, they must bother them so much. But I believe that the life doesn't even actually start until your late 20s.
At least 30, I mean, some people, I think it depends on the approach that you have. Some people say that life doesn't start until you turn 50.
Okay. Yeah, those are people who are 50, I guess.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or those people who are in their 80s and they're like, okay, well, life is not going to start now, But I think you're right. I think that a lot of young people, in their 20s or early 20s, they're like, oh my God, I failed at something, or I haven't accomplished something. And the whole failure thing was also a big thing. After all, I had the opportunity of a lifetime, right, to study and live and work in LA and become famous, and the whole America thing, right?
Yeah, the American
dream. Who the hell would come back to Poland, right? 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, Poland was developing, wasn't as developed as it is now, but you could still see a lot of the PRL, a lot of the new roads were starting to get built. The skyscrapers that you see on Rondo Daszyńskiego, I don't think they existed back then. It was completely different. So going back to a post-communist country, from a strictly capitalist country, it's like, what's wrong with you?
That's like the epitome of capitalism today.
Yes.
That's the best.
Yes.
I mean, better than that, where would you go? Maybe Shanghai, but you won't last there for like a lot of time. But
but I think also Shanghai now, that kind of has grown for the past 5 years, something like that, right? Because even 10 years ago, it wasn't really like China or Singapore or Indonesia weren't really those destinations where you would think that you would go, but
So, continuing to that thing, when you were working in US, did you tell me more about any film experience or any experience that you had behind the cameras that that was extraordinary? That just sticks in your mind. That wow, I would like to share this story one day, and Daniel, today is the day that you just let it out.
I guess I could start. I'll start. What story? The first story that comes to mind is it's a funny one. It's not really interesting. It just kind of shows a person's ego. I'll start with it. It's not the most exciting story, but I was part of a horror movie, low budget indie horror movie, which we were filming in LA during my OPT.
Okay.
And the actress who was playing the ghost of the horror movie, because it was a typical Ouija board, teenagers dying in the forest kind of thing, nothing special. But, it was a fun experience. She absolutely hated her makeup artist.
Okay.
Because she her makeup artist was drawing like lines to make her look like a ghost.
Wasn't that the purpose?
Right, it wasn't really that serious, but she flipped out one day and almost destroyed the whole set and ran off. The director, not the makeup artist, but the actress.
The director was like, cut, we got the scene.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. The ghost went crazy. The ghost went crazy.
That's what I wanted, that's natural acting,
But honestly, I think it's... I've worked with a few famous people. I mean, half famous. I don't know if these people, the youngsters, will know these, but remember the old movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
There's an actor in there called Bill Duke. He was the black guy with the big machine gun, with the minigun. Okay. And he is very famous in those circles with Schwarzenegger and Stallone, but in LA only. Like Schwarzenegger and Stallone or international, he is very famous in LA.
Okay, because he's like the Stallone of LA.
Something like that, right.
Okay,
but still everyone knows Stallone, everyone knows Schwarzenegger, but he was famous and he was making a documentary. And I remember I worked with him. The guy was like 2 meters, 20 centimeters, tall as, very tall. I can't specify how tall in description, but it was very interesting to work with him because he was extremely chill. A lot of chill and tall, right? Agreed. Especially tall. But he was very chill. He had a very like, if something doesn't work out, too bad. It doesn't work out. As compared to a lot of young filmmakers, 20, 30, 40 no, but 20, 30 are very like anal retentive, very strict. Everything has to be perfect. Kind of the approach of Kubrick, but not having the reputation of Kubrick.
Okay.
Stanley Kubrick.
All right, Stanley Kubrick.
I know you might not know these names, but
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting to work with him, but...
He was a filmmaker or he was an actor?
Bill Duke was a producer.
Okay.
He started off as an actor in the 70s and the 80s, but then he started producing a lot of, I think it was TV shows.
Yeah.
And when I was working with him as a DP, so director of photography, on a documentary about, the documentary was called Black Girls, I think it was, and it was about the mistreatment of black girls in general, I think, or in the industry of film. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a documentary about the hardships of black girls.
Okay, so is it related with your with your project that actually won an award called Heart of Hate? Is it the same thing we are talking about, or is it a different thing, the Heart of Hate?
Well, we can, if you want to go into Heart of Hate.
Yes.
Heart of Hate was, I don't remember if Heart of Hate won anything. I think the other movie that I made won something. Yes, I think so. I don't remember. This was more than 10 years ago.
Wow.
So my memory is not the way it used to be. But Heart of Hate, if you haven't seen it, I recommend that you watch it. It's on Vimeo. I believe it is available for everyone. I assume you've seen it.
Yeah.
Good. Or not. Depends. But I don't remember how I came to this story, but the story is simply about a neo-Nazi who falls in love with an Arab girl or a girl of different ethnicity, not white. And he fights his brother, who's the leader of the neo-Nazi group that he is part of. So, there's conflict. I think it was a very good starting project because they always kept teaching us that in movies it's all about conflict. If the stakes are too low, like a kid wants a lollipop versus a kid needs to save his drowning dog, the stakes are completely different. And they always kept telling us that the higher the stakes, the more interesting it will be for the audience to watch the story and the conflict unfold, whether everyone saves, the guy saves the girl, wins the money, beats the bad guy or not. So I thought that, especially with times that we live in, I felt that was an appropriate question to ask. Also, if you watch the movie, you will understand why he got interested in something that the girl was offering. In short, it was knowledge, but there is a visualization too.
As well. So when you describe it, I think I watched the Solitaire, not the Heart of Hate.
Yes, so Solitaire was my first movie, 2009. like 15 years ago. That was in LA film school, and that was more of my, let's call it Fincher era, where I watched Fight Club and I wanted to do something about the psychology, of someone committing a crime and then dealing with that crime as freshly after he had committed it.
It shows a very real aspect, although it's a very much of a fiction thing.
Yes.
But it shows a very real aspect of the people who are actually suffering from mental health issue like schizophrenia. And it might not seem, well, on the screen, it's very entertaining for us to watch, but like legit, there are problems with the people. And I was researching about brain, because brain is a fascinating thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some people lack it, but again, well, there is this thing about the brain. And so there are a lot of criminals, serial killers, right?
True.
And there is a very psychological, there is not just a psychological aspect of them killing people because they want to, for example, rapes. They are not more about the physical, they're more about the power sense.
Yep. And
it was a discovery that after 80,000 brain scans, it was found that the physiology of the brain is actually disturbed of these criminals. And there was this guy, I'm just about to share a very horrible story, and there was this young guy who was 13, and he took the rifle and he shot both his parents, and then he took the gun, he went to the school, and he killed 25 small kids. Turns out when they scanned his brain, it was severely dismantled, like it was not in the best shape, it wasn't even looking like a brain. And so it gives us a more, I wouldn't say empathetic approach to things, but it's not always about, some things are not in control of the people,
Agreed.
And not that they should be like, it's more about being proactive rather than to be reactive.
Yeah.
The solution could be offered, like people can be getting brain scan, and these type of potential things might be eradicated before these things happen. Right, so we took a tangent over there.
We did, but I mean, it's an interesting tangent, but I don't feel competent enough to be able to say. I have my opinion about it, and my opinion is, I mean, it would be best if we did go the proactive way, prevent it before it happens, not think about what we can do after it has happened.
Yes.
But, it goes into also gun control, it goes into, how would you recognize something like this? Like, what did he do the day before? Did he eat a different breakfast? Was he, I don't know, slapped by his mom, which triggered him to go? So
there could be so many factors. We cannot absolutely contain it, but say something can be done, because like things are getting better, in terms of technology, health, and everything.
So availability to technology. But if we want to go deeper into that, just one step deeper, it's also, well, if you're talking mental health issues, we're talking personal consciousness. If you feel like there's something wrong with you, will you go to the doctor and check yourself out, right? I mean, how many people, I hurt my knee, it's been hurting for a week, it's gonna go away, and then you find out that your knee's actually cracked on the inside, and because you didn't go,
it got
3-4 days, it got worse, and then suddenly you find out that it's amputation. I don't think that would be that extreme, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I get it.
That's also goes into the education system, where you have to learn how to take care of yourself, but I think it's much more about consciousness, about you understanding yourself. But
also, there is
tangent.
Exactly. There is also a stigma about going to a psychiatrist. It's like nobody wants to be treated as like mentally ill. Like that's why some people.
But I think that it's changing a lot, and I actually had a discussion with our editor last week or 2 weeks ago, can't remember. About, which is interesting for you ladies out there, about what is the preference that a lady has, I guess a young one, when it comes to how her man should be.
Okay.
And if she finds out that he is going to a psychotherapist, she's actually supposedly more drawn to him. Because I don't understand the reason. I guess it shows that he's more strong, because he can admit to the fact that he thinks there's something wrong with him, so he tries to fix it.
Okay.
So that was an interesting.
Or is it based on the thing that there is a research about the men who go to therapy are more attractive to women.
Yes. Yeah. It could be that. It could be
Yeah.
that. I can't recall exactly what it was because we talked about it like a few weeks ago.
Good.
But it was something that was very interesting to me because, back in my day when I was younger, it was usually either he's rich or he's famous, and that's pretty much it. Like he can't, I don't know, maybe he can raise my kids or something like that.
Yeah, makes sense. So like those men are stronger in a way.
Well,
yeah. If this is the case,
I guess,
then I would cancel my gym membership and I should go
right. Instead
give me a therapist
of
number.
going to the gym, you should go start
To a
seeing a
therapist.
therapist, right? If you want to
That's
attract
one way.
more girls.
That's one mating strategy right there.
From the research, I guess it is.
Love it.
I
Numbers don't lie, Daniel. So yeah,
Statistics don't lie. I would definitely argue.
Yep.
It all depends on the statistic pool and which statistics you have drawn out of the research, right? Because technically we have statistically proven, which we can never do, that autism is caused by vaccines. I don't want to get into that because that's a difficult topic.
Yeah,
but
we could talk about it
right,
quite a lot.
Statistics are
let's go
very
to the numbers.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very interesting thing about people going to therapy these days. It's more, it's become more available.
Yes,
because a lot more psychology graduate students.
True.
And more affordable, of course. And also people are becoming more aware because of this introduction of digitalization, because we are receiving way more information than we used to.
Yep.
And it opens aspects about our personality that we weren't aware of. And maybe there is a root cause of our problem which could be solved by therapy. And from the feedback that I hear from people going to good therapists, not like the therapists which blame everything on trauma response. Oh, you're breathing wrong because you have a childhood trauma. Because that's the easiest way. You could always put this, because these are not very science-based things.
It's how do you prove it?
Yeah, exactly. You cannot really. It's like the existence of God. You can just like
you want to go that deep.
So things like that, and also and staying in touch with your emotions. Like, have you heard about Robert Greene?
Robert Greene?
Not Robot Greene. Robert Greene.
Robert Greene. No.
Robert Greene.
No,
Okay,
no.
he's for the people watching. Robert Greene is he's an amazing writer, 5 times bestseller of books, and he has Mastery and 48 Laws of Power. Maybe have you heard about this book?
No.
It's really good books. I'll just show you some of them.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and he basically says that people tend to suppress emotions. Like if somebody told something to you in your workspace, and you just took it in, and you think that I solved it. No, you just took it.
Yes.
It's very normal to feel anger, not to lash out like a dog,
like
right?
some people do.
Yes, but it's very important to let those feelings of anger, resentment, things like that out. People are also very afraid of showing that they're too happy, or they just sometimes stop to laugh. Obviously not in very professional conditions, but expressing emotions it's what
Really?
gives what gives your creativity its fuel.
Yeah.
Without emotions, if you just keep on suppressing them, one day you're just going to burst it out like a dam.
Yes, exactly.
And creativity is driven by emotions. A person who's dead inside cannot technically be creative. Yes, you can crunch numbers on Excel, but when you want to create
that's not
something,
really creative.
Yeah,
well, you can be creative. Yeah.
You cannot be creative when you're dead inside.
Yeah,
It's just like
simply speaking.
simply put. So
Yes,
you need to be in touch with your emotions, and one of the best ways and the healthiest ways is to go to therapy, get in touch.
I agree. I mean, that's the
be
thing.
a man. Just
Be a man.
Be a man, just keep it in.
I am fine. I feel
you're fine.
good. Don't talk to me.
More pain, more gain.
Exactly.
So
No, I think you're right that it is a good thing that people have realized that going to therapy is an answer. I mean, it's a matter of. I think that this is kind of approaching the other side, right?
Yeah.
If you break a nail, you want to go to therapy and talk about how you broke your nail and you can't handle it. See, I mean, everything in life, at least this is what I believe in, what I have learned works the best until I guess I will learn something new.
Yeah.
Balance. You can't be too soft, but you can't be too hard.
Right.
Right? It has to be a little bit of, you can't take everything personally, but also you cannot be completely 100% expressive, right?
For sure.
It was interesting what you said, that some people are afraid to show happiness. I haven't heard this. I can understand why, but based more on the side of anger. If you're showing anger, then it kind of shows that you are pushing people away, right?
Yeah.
So I guess if you're showing happiness, I don't know, maybe you're afraid to attract the wrong people. It's social
it's
media.
Very much a case. It's very much a case. You just, there is this trend going on among seeming cool by logging.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like, not the greatest thing. Obviously, like, you're going to attract the type of energy you're going to put out.
Yeah.
So let's say you are naturally a person who's expressive.
Yes.
There are introverts, there are extroverts, there are ambiverts. An introvert might not be very expressive, and the type of energy he puts out in the world, only that type of people would like to, interact with him, and he's going to attract right people for himself.
Yes.
If he chooses to act as an extrovert just to be cool, it's the same thing that you said about fake it till you make it. He might fake it to be an extrovert, he might welcome those people in his life that
don't work for him.
Exactly. That for the moment he could be cool hanging out with them, but like later on in life, the same thing that he attracted will start to bother him. Same case goes with your romantic relationships.
Agreed.
Exactly. You could act all colorful,
Cool
macho,
and
this, that, another.
yeah,
You
get the
you
prom
initially,
queen,
yeah,
and
exactly.
And you find out that it's just an empty.
The moment you
empty
show your
relation.
true face, either she will be not attracted to you,
Yeah.
or you'll just be killing yourself every day. So
I think it comes down to, once again, the whole balance thing, where how much of your own personal values, let's call them, or core values, are you willing to sacrifice to be liked and to fit in? Because we are social animals. When I was in high school, I had psychology, and my teacher kept telling us that we are social animals, and we sometimes will, oftentimes will sacrifice the better of ourselves so that we can fit into the group, right?
Yes.
And this is where the whole idea comes in, because I think, I'm not a psychologist, but from my experience, a lot of young people, they want to fit in. It's completely understandable, right? Especially when you go to university and you don't have any friends because you left all your friends in high school, they all moved away. And then you move into this new place, the new way of doing things, right? High school, university should be a step higher, should be more requiring of you, but also on the social scene, right? And the whole relationship, of course, romantic partners also come into play, because we are human beings, right? We need to feel wanted, we need to feel loved, we need to feel liked. But that's also the other side of it, is that if you push that too much, then eventually, you might not be happy with where you are, because you don't feel that this is who you are.
Yes.
And
either extreme is bad. If you express too much, you might you run into a chance of intimidating other person with your feelings, your overwhelming attention, and it's not in their control. It applies to you as well. If you come across someone who you kind of like, and they are way too much, way too soon.
Yeah.
This might intimidate you. It's a very normal human reaction. On the other hand, if you give too less, just because you want to hold back and things like that might not work out, because maybe that doesn't even cross the minimum threshold of that person to be engaged with you in the first place. So there is always a balance, and living in the balance is the key to a good life.
But it's hard. It's extremely hard, because the pendulum constantly keeps swinging.
If it was
sometimes there are things in life that happen that completely swing you to the opposite, and you're a complete don't touch me, don't talk to me. And sometimes the pendulum swings completely, like, oh my God, I hate my values, I hate myself, just love me, be my friends, And sometimes it's at that perfect balance of, I'm okay where I am, I'm happy with who I am, with what I represent as myself. And we'll see what life brings tomorrow, what life brings in a year.
Exactly, and I would like to add on the thing you said, that the balance is like, you said it's hard to create that balance. if it was that easy, we would see a lot more happy faces
We would.
than we see right now. And balance in case of, and what we, the balance could be in the case of your finances, your
Yeah.
health, your spirituality, your social circle, the way you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. You know, like all of these sectors, you need to pay individual attention. Even one of them is hurting.
Yeah.
It's like the body part. If your leg is hurting but everything else is healthy, your attention would be continuously
Yes.
going to the leg. Or if
Yes.
your teeth is hurting,
Yeah.
I mean, you overall your breathing, your system works fine, but that's
Right.
something. So you need to fix the aspects of your life which might be lagging behind.
True.
Could be spiritual, could be social, like you might have a lot of money. That's the reason why a lot of people, you must have heard about this, that a lot of rich people are miserable.
I've heard this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they have the finances covered, you know.
Yeah.
And when you have your finances covered, it sort of helps you to lose the drive of, it lacks the purpose. And that's the reason why purpose is important than finances and the people who even achieve it. Do you know, Daniel, how stars die?
How stars die?
Usually,
Well, first they grow really big, then they implode into a small dwarf from
and they
the
die
astronomy.
and they die from a drug overdose.
Okay, you're talking about those kind of stars. All right. Well, yes.
Yeah,
it's
they do.
Lindsay
So-
Lohan and Ezra Miller. They haven't died, but you know they were definitely on the right track.
Right. So I could definitely work on the delivery of my jokes. Like, you know.
Well, you know, it's I
But
didn't
again,
understand what you meant by
it's the-
stars. So
Yeah.
first thing
It's the
popped to
same.
my
There
mind was
that's what made it. It was the same thing as like there would be some people who would
well,
laugh
then
on
they
this.
grow up, right?
Yeah.
As a
And they grow
star,
up,
they go
and then
big,
they-
and then eventually they just implode because
Yeah.
I guess they become too big for their own good.
That is true. And they kind of, I'm not really sure if they lose the sense of purpose. Have you ever met any celebrity, like A-lister celebrity, where you just
Well,
just
personally,
like-
no. I've seen them on the red carpet because I used to live right outside the Cinerama. Those people that know what the Cinerama is, I believe it is. Well, there's Cinerama, then there's the Kodak Theater, and then there's the Chinese Theater, which is the most famous one. That's where all of the big Hollywood. That's where the Oscars are, I believe. That's where the
Chinese theater? It's like
Chinese
owned by
theater.
Chinese people?
It's a very good question why it's called the Chinese theater. I never really looked into it. I assume because it was built in the style, the architecture looked Chinese. I
Some
think.
dragons and stuff?
Yes, exactly. There are these kind of, and the housing, like the roofs are like when you think
Okay,
of a
those-
Chinese roof, you think
Alright,
of
right.
the Chinese architecture.
Okay.
But otherwise, I don't know why it's called the Chinese
Probably
theater. I
that would
assume
be
it's
the
probably
reason.
going to disappear very quickly, or not, depending on who will rule the world in the next 5-10 years.
I mean, I know the
But,
quality of the
yeah.
materials made in China is questionable, but I
well,
hope
of
it doesn't
course it's
disappear.
questionable.
So is that the
Because
reason
it's
of you
cheap.
saying that it might disappear? You know, it might not last.
Well, you know, the Chinese theater is a good marketing element, let's call it, right? Because
Yeah.
all of the stars go to the Chinese theater, you know. But I think it is going to change eventually because of
Trump?
well, I would say more because of political correctness.
Okay.
But you know, Trump and political correctness are very.
Don't worry, we are not in US. In Poland, the guns are not allowed, so we are relatively safe.
We are. Well,
Talking about
depends on who's
guns,
watching, right?
Yes. Did you ever feel threatened in US? Like, because, see, you were born in Sweden, which
Yes.
is relatively safe.
It was, yes,
Yes.
when I was born.
Yeah,
When
was.
I lived there in
Interesting
the
that you say
90s.
it was, yes.
Yes.
Then you were raised in Poland, so
Yeah.
technically no guns.
Yeah, guns were not accessible as easily as they were when I moved to the States.
Right. And then when you moved to the States,
Mm-hmm.
there were guns.
Yes.
Did you feel threatened?
I was never threatened with a gun,
Because
which
I
is
already
a good
had a
thing.
gun. Had one of
But
your own?
You have a gun? You mean a gun and a gun?
I
see, that's a good timing of a joke, I guess. But
guess I do.
I've never felt threatened in the States. I have felt that certain individuals may be a little bit unhinged and they have a very thick jacket, so you don't know what's hiding under that thick jacket. I have fired weapons both in Poland at a shooting range and in the States at a shooting range. And in Poland, the rules of handling a weapon are much stricter when it comes to a firing range. In the States, it's like, here's a gun, go shoot. While in Poland, it's like, okay, we gotta go with
Here's
you.
the camera, go shoot.
Well, something along those lines, but just a lot more stricter. But yeah, I never felt threatened. I never had an altercation with anyone that I can say.
Yeah. On camera.
On camera. But no, it's. I feel that all of the things that we live through now in Poland and in Europe, they kind of already lived through in the States, because all of the new technologies, everything that's new, Uber, Bitcoin, for example, 2009. I remember when there was a cafe who accepted Bitcoin. I can only assume that the owner of that cafe is probably now living in a penthouse somewhere in New York City.
I hope if he didn't just
sell it,
or lose
at a
the flash
2x
drive.
instead of a
Yeah.
500x, But yeah, it's and especially LA, which is so close to San Francisco, which is so close to Silicon Valley, where all of the big companies, big tech companies start off. It's I don't remember where I was going. I lost my track. So
No problem. So did I.
yes,
So
we went off on a tangent and we fell down a deep hole and we don't know where we are. So maybe it was LA technology
And
it was
Bitcoin. We
something.
just
Yeah,
somehow approached the Bitcoin.
Right,
Well,
right.
talking about Bitcoin, it's quite expensive. Don't buy it, guys. It's too late. It's too late.
So.
Uh,
Not financial advice, remember.
Stay safe. Stay broke.
Yes.
All right.
It's not financial advice.
Not financial advice at all.
For
We don't do
educational
that.
purposes only.
Only and only.
Yes.
All right. Okay. One more impending question that I
Yeah.
have. Since we were talking about celebrities, do you think stars are born or they're made?
I guess it's the difference between
Thermodynamics?
nature versus nurture, right?
Okay. So supposed
If
to be
you're
the
born in a very rich family and your daddy pays you to go and make movies, and he owns half of Universal Studios, well, then stars are born, right? It's a lot more, I think, admirable by audiences if a star is raised or created, because it feels more organic, like the person worked for it, especially in today's age where it's all about, hard work, but kind of not hard work, because you look at people like, I guess, Mark Zuckerberg, first one that comes to my brain. He was 21 years old when he created Facebook. I think but I feel that it's also changing, because people are not willing to sacrifice their life fully for a job, right? I feel that is also changing. So maybe we are going that now the pendulum has swung extremely far, and maybe we're just going back to the middle, and then within the next 5-10 years, things will be kind of in the middle. People will feel a little bit more balanced, especially with the pandemic, which I can only assume destroyed a lot of lives. And I'm not talking deaths, I'm talking about the economic fallout that came from that. So yeah, maybe we are at a point where the pendulum is starting to slowly swing into the middle, and people maybe in a year, 2, 5, 10 will start feeling that, okay, we're somewhere in a balanced state. But then of course you have the big media who will always try to keep you on edge, because it generates more clicks, right? It's
Definitely.
clickbaiting. So
big media also, the big media is always targeting the people from 18 to 35.
yeah, they're most
Right.
susceptible.
Most susceptible, and these are the people who have the most pressure of being the best among their peers, getting into the best relationship, getting into the best school, getting the best job, looking the best, the hairs, the makeup, the skincare, everything. And so this is a very susceptible part of the society where capitalists have their claws deep into this age. Although there was a study where it was searched that the people from 25 to 30 are the most stressed people. And I think
Nowadays, yeah.
yeah,
I agree.
nowadays it's like the highest stress period that they go through. And did you have similar experiences with your life? Or what was your most stressful period, if you would like to share, of course? How did you get out of it?
The most stressful period, I think, was exactly within that time, 25 to 30, because, well, see, I'm a little bit of a different case, because I knew since I was 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that, that it would be film. It was always, at first it was storytelling. I remember that I would bring my friends in and I would open a book and just read out loud and try to tell a story, you know, accent on the dialogue. Oh, here's the little, you know, we would read Red Riding Hood, some kids' stories, right? But I would read them and I would portray the characters, right? And I always knew what I wanted to do in my life. I always knew that it had to do with film, it had to do with the camera, and eventually it had to do with storytelling. It was first storytelling, and then the best way to tell stories was writing them and then filming them, showing them visually. I think that is what allowed me to focus myself more. I know that a lot of people, and some people die never knowing exactly what they want in life, what they feel they need to do, need to accomplish. And I understand very well that this is the majority of the majority, that people just don't know what they want from life, what they want to do. They haven't discovered that. I don't like this word passion, but it is. It is the passion of the purpose. I think purpose is a better word. The purpose of their own life. My purpose, I feel, is film, and I also live by, I don't really know what the next day will bring. I like to plan. I have pretty much until I started running the studio, my life was a freelancer. I would work a little here, I would work a little here, I would find jobs on Facebook, I would get jobs from previous jobs. I was very much a let's call it, well, freelancer, right? But this also comes from my childhood. If I remember right, first I lived in Sweden, then I lived in Poland, then I lived in the States, now I live in Poland again. And in between those times, I would move. I've moved maybe 20, 25 times in my life. And I've always been a journeyman, let's call it.
Okay.
A person who doesn't really sit too much in one spot and who likes to be settling, yeah. Although it is changing now because I just don't have the energy. I know I'm 33. I'm not that old, but I feel older. I feel like I've really lived through life. I have visited many countries in my life. I have learned a lot from many different people. I've met a lot of people, professionally and not professionally. I think traveling is definitely fun to do, but there needs to be a purpose, because if you just travel to sit in the hotel for a week, then it's kind of pointless, right?
Yeah.
Always when I would travel, I would always go out into the city, go and find the dirtiest streets, the back alleys that no tourists go to. Of course, I would visit the tourist areas just to see what it is. But I remember I went to China with a friend like 7 years ago, something like that. We went to Chengdu. And I remember, we had to go see the pandas, because, I can't go to China or the place where they have pandas and not see pandas, right? We would also see some others of the tourist landmarks. But then one day I'm like, let's go off the beaten trail. Let's go into the forest. Let's go in between the buildings and see the real life. See the how people really live.
The essence of it, the core.
Was that?
The essence.
Yes, exactly. Not the like, if you go to LA, then of course there's Hollywood Boulevard, which is, the stars and everything, but then there's other streets. There's the streets that really show the underground, this other side of LA.
The drug epidemic, the homelessness.
Well, yes, of course, but you also see like little Armenian shops where you can go in and you can get yourself a really nice sandwich that's made by this old babushka in Romania, and it tastes really good. But you will never find this in the tourist.
Exactly.
This is only the stuff that you find by going off the beaten trail. And this is also something that I like, because it creates opportunities to find out something that you didn't know about and learn something new.
Right.
The one more thing. I know this might be a little
No. Just
not
please
bad,
keep on going.
but in terms of my visit to China, I remember very well one thing that frightened the hell out of me was me and my friend. We traveled to this oh my God, to this natural park. It was huge, but in the evening when we arrived, we went out into the street to go get some food. And I remember we're walking down the street. It rained the day before, so there were puddles everywhere. I remember very well how a Chinese cook walks out of the restaurant with a fish, and he puts the fish in the puddle on the street. He washes the fish in the puddle, and then goes back in the restaurant. I'm like, we're not going in there.
Oh wow!
But this is also this is the thing that you will never see at tourist attractions, because everything on tourist areas it has to be perfect, and these little stories are what they teach you about this balance.
Exactly.
Would you want to go to a restaurant like this, or would you do something like this? It kind of, I guess maybe I have a nature of retrospection or introspection, to kind of see what I would do in this. And you know, it's. I think the more you put yourself in danger, but not lethal danger, just outside of your comfort zone, the more you learn who you are. The more you understand of, okay, you know, I put myself in a situation that is completely out of my comfort zone. I feel I handled it fairly well, or I completely failed, but you learned something because you did something that you wouldn't normally do, right? And of course, you know, it takes a toll on you, because if you go out into your comfort zone, to a certain extent, you have to believe that you can handle yourself in deep waters, right, outside of that comfort zone.
Right.
So yeah, I guess believing in yourself is important, but
Stepping out of the comfort zone.
I think so. I think it's important. And going back to the whole 25 and 30 being stressed, I feel that social media definitely has a huge impact on those young people. That, you know, how many stories of failure have you heard versus how many stories of success have you heard? I mean, you constantly hear, especially with TikTok, about children millionaires who, you know, made one trade on Bitcoin or an NFT or whatever, right? And suddenly you're like, oh my God, I gotta buy it, right? And then you're one of the 99 who's not successful, because unfortunately, but TikTok stories are 1 in a million.
You don't hear the dark side.
You never hear the dark side, and I feel that this is what is lacking, is that we kind of put ourselves in this bubble.
Comparing
comfort.
Comparing your ordinary day with somebody else's life's highlight is, again, it's a work of a foolish person. You know, it's not very rational, and that's why most of the people on my Instagram, they are muted their stories. Well, I just go to there and I don't even see their stories, because, well, you can only do a comparison when you have a point of reference.
Yes.
And people on social media, they're pointing out the best of their lives.
Of course.
The older you get, you realize that, you know, it's just a highlight.
Yeah.
No need to compare. Just live your own life, and I think there is definitely that aspect to it. Are you on any social medias?
I'm on Facebook, which I rarely ever post anything on. I'm on Instagram, which I haven't used in 2 years. I have a YouTube channel that I have posted nothing on. So I just I tried TikTok, but I realized after a week that this is so addicting. And you would just scroll and scroll and scroll, and suddenly, oh damn it, it's
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, yeah. No, done. Finished.
Yeah.
So I quickly uninstalled it. But you know, Facebook has the
very
same
real
thing with the videos.
I haven't met one person who was using TikTok.
Yeah.
And either they were like, they had a lot of free time on their hands, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
And everybody has the same complaint, that it is super addictive. You just scroll and
just get off it. Just uninstall the app and be strong for a week, and then you'll forget about it.
It's like, it's like saying that, you know, get off it. It's like, if you're depressed, just stop being depressed.
No, it's not the same.
Comparatively, of course,
it's not the same. I mean, you know, being on TikTok, I think that you need to understand. You have to look into yourself and try to understand Why are you on TikTok? What are you looking for on TikTok? What is it that you are looking for that you can't find in the real world, outside? If there's something, I guess it's excitement. That would be the one thing that I can think of. But then go join a boxing club. Go join a dance studio. Go on a walk with your dog.
Yes, but Daniel, there is the thing. What are people looking on TikTok? It's necessarily not the content, actually. It's novelty. And when you go to the boxing, you don't find novelty. You just find a bag and gloves and something to punch on. So this feeling of novelty.
But you find camaraderie.
You
know what I mean? The camaraderie.
We both are equally.
Yes. It's not partnership, because that's a difference.
It's something called
camaraderie. You find camaraderie. You find this. Let's call it in layman's terms, broness.
Yes.
With other bros.
Yeah.
And then you find a place where you might want to belong for a year, for 2, or for a long time.
Sense of belonging. That satisfies your social aspect of your life.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. That is
very
that's the thing
important.
about it's
social aspect important. Is very connected to your health.
Exactly, your mental health, even your physical health.
Yes.
Like let's go back like even 200 years ago. No, we don't even have to go that back. 50 years ago, when there were no phones and everything, you had no choice except to let's go back to the time.
I remember when I didn't have a phone.
Exactly.
And
no
you wanted to meet with someone, you don't text. You go to their house, you bang on the door, their mom opens, and you're like, "Can Adam come out and play?" No, he's grounded. I'm like, please. Then he comes out, and then you go out and then you do some stuff in the forest. You throw pine cones at each other.
Yes.
I remember when we would the stick would be a sword, right? And we would beat each other up. Then moms would be like, "What have you done?" We had fun. We were just kids climbing trees,
the guys
throwing rocks at each other. But no one cares because you're a kid. You grow up, and of course you get hit in the. I have a few battle scars from my stick hitting times.
The chronicles of sticks.
Yes, but still, it was fun.
Exactly.
And now fun. I don't know what teenagers do for fun.
The things which are left for fun is the world has become way more isolated. I'm more concerned about the people who are young, right?
Yeah.
They are growing in this society where this loneliness is their new norm. This is something new for us, being isolated on a phone and everything.
Yes.
The only way you connect is through digital media, and then I don't think it will ever be super satisfying, or it can help. The more connected you feel on social media is the less connected you actually are with that person.
Yeah.
And calling has become so intimidating because I see the memes around it, when you have to call a person.
Don't call me, just text me.
Just text me, okay. Since when calling has become,
And it's true. A lot of people, when there's an unknown number calling, then it's a goddamn heart attack.
What happened?
Oh my God, who's calling me? Who wants my money? Who wants to kill me? And
people used to be excited about getting a no. Who it might be?
Exactly. Most of the time, it's just marketers trying to sell you photovoltaica. But it doesn't matter. The point is, you answer and. I remember I watched a TED Talk. I don't know why this comes in, but I guess it's about scamming. I remember I watched a TED Talk. If you haven't watched it, I don't remember what it was called, but it was about a guy who responded to the Nigerian prince scam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one that writes that, "Hi, I'm a Nigerian prince. I have 1,000,000 tons of gold. I need you to send me $50 so that I can send you that money." Absurd, right? But he decided to respond.
And there are people who believe that. Honestly,
funny.
Daniel, I believe those people should be
should be
scammed.
If you really believe that a Nigerian prince is writing to you, to your email,
for $50.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you deserve to be scammed. There was this.
Oh my goodness.
There was this screenshot of some meme that was about Michael Jackson. Hey, I'm Michael Jackson.
Yes.
I'm not dead. So
I need help getting from LA to New York. I'm waiting for the train, but I don't have the money for the ticket. Yeah.
And in the end, he just also said, he. Yeah, it's still me, just to make it more believable. Honestly, it might have been,
Well, they say
You just
Tupac,
don't know
They say
what-
Tupac is still alive on an island somewhere, you know, with Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson. But
Yeah,
we'll never know the truth.
Heaven
That's
Island.
above our pay grade.
above our earth and above our pay.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, this is true. It's I think the topic was, I guess, human nature. That's kind of where this discussion is kind of going, right? I mean, we started about filmmaking, but
It's the ocean we haven't explored yet.
yeah, and I think that we will. I mean, brands have